Hey friend, so glad you are here. Thanks so much for tuning into our presentation about how to be a content queen, which is to get ideas for your content and understand how to actually repurpose it very easily on social media, depending on what the goals for your business are. So I would tell you about looking at this and reading through it and thinking about what your content plan will be is to do the following. Think about how this works for your business now. There's reference here to things that you may not be doing. You may not have a podcast, or you may not have a website, or maybe you're really just showing, content in a specific format, like only in your Facebook group, or you're only doing short form content. So just think about how it works for you and reflect on some of the ideas and just make it adapt to your business the best that you can. Okay. So here's what we're going to talk about today: content, exactly what it is, why you want to use it, why you want to have a content plan, why it's a great idea for your business. And then also is to go through our step-by-step plan about the content, how to start from beginning to end, literally with details. And we'll have some fun. We'll have some learning, of course, as always. If you have questions about this, please get in touch with me anytime. You can find information about how to do that on my website. And if you don't know me, my name is Jessica Wanglin. I'm a wife, a mom of two little ones. I started my online business in 2009 as a home decor blogger. And I got to work with a lot of national brands. I created tons of blog and social media content and have had a really fun time doing that. I have a wellness team in the network marketing space, which is really fun. And I run my own business offering branding and marketing services and website design for online entrepreneurs. And so I say that because I know that it's pretty helpful to understand kind of where people are coming from in terms of how they've created their content, what kind of experience they've had it. I've done everything from using starting Pinterest way when it was in infant stages, to learning about Google Web Stories, to making my own website, several websites and things like that. So I have a really fun time with content, and it's a great way to do so many good things for your business. So let's take a vote. Just reflect a little bit on this when you're walking through the presentation. Tell me what you think about content. Do you love it and create it on a regular basis, regardless of what length it is or what it looks like? Maybe you make some a little bit once in a while, or perhaps you really just don't have any idea of where to start with it. Well, we're going to help you regardless of any phase that you're in for there. So let's talk about what content is. So content is information that shares your message, tells your story, and basically connects with your audience so that you can entertain them, you can inspire them, you can educate them, so that they will then take action with you. They'll connect with you in some way. They'll buy a product with you. They'll join a group. They'll do something. So content is the way to showcase your personality, of course. And it's an opportunity to connect and build relationships with people. They're going to ask you about the things that you're sharing. It's a really amazing way, of course, to highlight your skills and position yourself as a leader, of course, to showcase exactly what you do know, right? It can also help you sell your products, build a community online, of course, share any kind of message specifically about what you're doing. And then content really is the cornerstone of your business, because think about the people that you know in business. You know them because of what they talk about, right? And you know them because you relate to what they talk about, and you connect with them in some fashion, right? So here's a couple of bullets about why you actually want to create a content plan and make this a significant portion of your business. Creating a plan will, of course, keep you organized, saves you a lot of time and just scrambling every day about thinking about what to do. Because once you really tone in on creating long form content and understanding where you're going to repurpose it, you are going to save a lot of time in doing that. And it's a great way actually to get connected with starting a team if you don't have one, and have a VA do some of those tasks for you. So you want the plan, of course, because it really does build your authority. People are going to then know you for the content that you create and that you put out and that you talk about. Like, what is your message? What is your area of expertise, of course? And then creating content and sharing it, of course, in places drives traffic to your site and your social posts, and your products and things like that, increases, sales, conversions, etc. And of course, you can create a great community when you start to talk about a specific topic. And that's how actually a lot of people get started. So simply, of course, we know this. What is content repurposing? That means taking all a part of your content and using it someplace else, right? So just simply creating the best format for a different platform and using it in a different way. Why would we do that? Of course, reaches more people. This is pretty straightforward, right? because not everyone is going to see your content. They say that it takes about 7 to 12 plus times for people to see something to actually take an action on it. So don't feel like you're being repetitive when you're repurposing it, because you are going to reach different people and you are going to help them. Think about when you made a transaction for a business sale, you probably looked something over a couple times before you made a decision. Okay, so again, like I said, your team can do this. It can be a way to save you time for your business, and kind of just focus your area on other things that you want to be doing. And then, of course, social media and marketing changes all the time. So it's really helpful to be up and touch with what is happening on different platforms. What are things that they're pushing out? What are things that are going to get you the followers and contacts that you're looking for? But also it allows you to really customize your message. So say you don't love to do live video, or you kind of can do it a little bit, where you can really go in depth in talking on a podcast. So you're not showing up actually video format. It allows you to actually customize that message. And then you'll learn as you go ahead and do these that different people on different platforms want different information. And that's certainly a great way, to repurpose your content and get it out there in new places, right? So here's a couple of different types of content. Now, this is not exactly an exhaustive list, but in terms of what's out there today, what are the types of content that exist? So we pretty much group it into these two categories, long form and short form, right? So long form is usually 1,000 or more words. It's more optimized. There's opportunity to put keywords and tags or hashtags and searchable terms into long form content. So examples of this are things like blog posts, videos, of course, podcast episodes, even webinars can be considered long form content when you're teaching people about a specific thing. And even an opt-in, I could say, would be a long form piece of content, because that's something that you're going to be using over and over again. And it is a way for people to learn a specific topic from you, which is typically what longer form content lends itself to. And so short form content, again, a little bit different, usually less than 1,000 words, sometimes only 3 seconds, like we're seeing on reels and things that are happening these days. Just a very high level, quick overview of any kind of comment, opinion, topic that you want to have. So examples of this, of course, are static posts are considered short form, because although you can write a good amount of text in there, it doesn't always, lend itself to be something that's like evergreen that people are going to be searching for or is searchable. Reels, of course, are short form content. Everyone knows and talks about these. They're super popular right now on both Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, of course. Email messages are short form contacts. Again, depending on how much you write, that's not something that someone's going to go and look for in a year or two. They're not really going to have held on to an email message from you. And then audio, there's a lot of different audio formats these days. Like some different audio things like subscription things or like Clubhouse platform, things like that. Audio is usually considered shorter form content. And then stories, of course, stories are only 7 seconds long or 15, depending on the platform you're on, of course. And stories are, of course, short form content, only lasting for about 24 hours. Now let's look at this type we have here called evergreen. So evergreen content is typically content that's made specifically to last the test of time. So evergreen is something that you think of that doesn't have any dates associated with it. It's not based on a specific time or place or something like that. They're most likely on evergreen content. People are using that to include SEO searchable terms in there. So they are using long-term keywords and things like that. And you can always refresh evergreen content to be relevant. So things that people look for again and again on a regular basis are considered evergreen content, like who won the Super Bowl, or how to make a birthday cake, or like how to decorate for the holidays. Things like that are timeless that people are going to search for. And so evergreen is a really great way to simplify your content routine and just make things that you can actually very repurpose. So I would say if you're going to look for these opinion-wise, in terms of what you're going to be created, you want to have a balance for these. I won't say create only short form or create only long form, because we always have fun doing both. And both can definitely be part of your marketing plan and your content plan for your business. But it is amazing to shift a little bit to think about creating that evergreen content that is going to last the test of time, that actually, quite simply, you only have to do once a week is a great schedule to have a piece of long form evergreen content that goes out. and have it just be a solid kind of form for your business and what you do and create. So lots available in terms of content these days. Here's some things that are out there. So Instagram has different variety, and it's interesting to know, I listed these in order of when you go to Instagram and you click the plus at your profile, what it shows you, you can create and in order. So pay attention to the order, right? So what do we see at the top? Reels, because that's what they want you to create at this point in time. And so that may change, of course. It changes monthly, sometimes weekly. But what's available? So on Instagram, you can have short form reels, posts, stories, story highlights, live videos. You can create guides on Instagram still and have a fundraiser opportunity there, which is not as common as the other things. But Facebook, of course, has many of those as well. Reels, stories, photos, live events, things like that. LinkedIn is a great platform for people doing a business. It's great for business-minded professionals and people to actually do business opportunities. So you can post photos, videos, and actually on LinkedIn, it's really nice that you can actually create what they call articles, which pretty much are the form of blog posts. But a lot of people do this to put out their professional opinion, right? Like their professional information in the form of that. So if your audience perhaps and you're oriented toward professional like setting and you're not necessarily the Facebook type, LinkedIn might be a great place for you to build an audience and get your content out there. YouTube right now is offering videos, shorts, and live videos, of course, on there. YouTube, I would say videos are considered a form of long form content, evergreen content that people are going to look for. Granted, it's not specific on like a current event or something like that. Pinterest is an amazing platform. If you have not jumped on the Pinterest game, I highly suggest it. It's a huge traffic driver for websites. They have pins, idea pins, and video pins. So you can do like short clips of video and, loop them together. Have information there about how to connect with you. People always link back to your profile. So make sure you have your profile optimized on Pinterest, of course, for sure. And then evergreen. Okay. Evergreen content, podcasts, blog posts, which are, in there, but we didn't have the podcast part of it. So there's a lot of podcast platforms. Of course, I love having a podcast. It's super fun to do. And so that's what's available these days. But let's talk a little bit about the lifespan of this content and how long it kind of like lasts and things like that on social. So Instagram, pretty short. Nothing really goes over a whole day in terms of when people are going to see it or be able to really find it, aside from looking for hashtags if people are doing that. And you hear different things about hashtags. They may or may not be so popular and useful anymore. It depends on what you do. So Facebook, same thing, about a day or two for live video. Most of the people watching your live videos are going to be replay viewers. So that's something to keep in mind when you're planning content, of course. Stories are just one day again. And then posts these days, the latest statistics about this is that posts on Facebook last about 60 minutes. So the lifespan refers to the maximum amount of time that a post will probably get engagement, right? And engagement meaning shares, likes, clicks, things like that. That's what lifespan refers to here. LinkedIn posts 24 hours, same thing as Facebook kind of. And YouTube videos are about 6 or so days. Again, that doesn't mean people aren't going to search for those. They're definitely long form content of YouTube videos. Pinterest. Now here's something interesting, 6+ months. Wouldn't it be amazing? And Pinterest is known for this, to have, you don't put something on there and it goes viral. That's very rare. It's actually more common on Pinterest for things to become more popular or found like 6 months or a year later, strangely enough. But that goes to show you that Pinterest is, of course, a search engine. It's not a social media platform. They do consider themselves these days a shopping platform, which many people have a love-hate relationship with. But Pinterest can be a great source for your traffic and getting some information out there. It's a lot of fun to use. And then blog posts, and I would loop podcast episodes into this too, 2+ years of lifespan on something like that. So when you look at this chart here, where would you rather spend your efforts? Would you rather try every single day to post something on Instagram that's going to maybe get seen within a day? Or would you rather spend an hour a week making a really amazing blog post or podcast episode that you can share on these other platforms, but is really going to get you a lot more mileage for your work in terms of, getting that stuff done? So content creation. Here's a little quote by a big marketing firm called HubSpot. Content creation is a critical component of most business marketing strategies. In fact, as of 2 years ago, 70% of marketers now actively invest in content marketing. So, what do you think? Let's vote. Are you making the most of, think about this when you're watching Reflection, short form, long form, evergreen, a combo of some of the above, perhaps? Does this presentation change your mind a little bit about what kind of content you should be creating and where it might be? Because that's helpful, because anything that you can do to gather information to refine your marketing plan, not your social media plan, your marketing plan for your business is going to help you in the long run, right? Okay, so here's some things places where people go wrong in terms of creating content. So I just wanted to throw this out there and mention it because it's well known where they say, like, don't try to be everywhere. So first of all, if you're not posting information, no one's going to know what you do and what your message is and what your offers are and how to buy from you and how to connect with you. So you have to show up, of course. And that's what I love to help women do, is to show up with confidence, with an amazing brand and logo, and help them rock this content plan so that they can actually get their message out there and start to make traction and get, great things to happen. So don't feel like you have to be on too many platforms. If some of these things just aren't your jam, and to be honest, I didn't even put TikTok on there. TikTok is a huge platform. Of course, the lifespan there, I saw a funny statistic about that recently. Again, as of right now, the lifespan of a TikTok post is 0 minutes. It's literally less than a minute unless it goes viral, that people would see your information on TikTok. Now, whether that is true or not, obviously people have great views on TikTok. They're getting great lives. It's all relative. So you just kind of have to take that in stride. Okay. So don't feel like you have to use too many platforms. It's not your jam. If you're just not on LinkedIn, then no worries. If you don't have a Facebook business page, don't include in your plan, of course. Slow to adopt. Try not to be slow to adopt some of these social media platforms. Of course, master one and learn how to do it well. You can be amazing at blogging. You can throw out a podcast that just gets so many downloads. And then even Instagram, there's so many parts on it, like you've seen, in terms of where to actually put information on Instagram. Are you making guides? Are you looking to do that? Are you remixing reels so you can collaborate with other people? So there's a lot of details and intricacies that you can do on one platform and know it really well. Connect with people that are teaching about those platforms, and then make it, work for you. And then irrelevant and inconsistency. I put this on here because a lot of times people just start to post things like they say, oh, content, I want to put something out there. So they show a picture of their lunch. And then next they show a picture of their kids. And then next they show nothing, right? So think about what's relevant for your brand and what people are going to kind of grab onto. These days, people want to connect with people. That's why personal branding is so popular, because they want to know you. When you talk about like where you're going on vacation and like the tips and tricks of things around your house, or if you love cooking, like how do you make a certain dish? People will love that. They will connect with you because of those things that you share in your lifestyle. But make sure that they're relevant, right? And that you can in some way lead a customer onto a journey where they are going to connect with you in the right way. So what makes great content, now that we know what not to do? Of course, you want it to be authentic to you. You want it to be based on research that you've done about your ICA, right? Your ideal customer. What are their pain points? Take any single question that someone asks you about something and turn it into a content point. Like here's an example. I work with clients on designing their logos and their brands and their websites. When I was talking with someone about creating some things for her, I was telling her about, here are the things that we do. This is how it works. And I said, one of them is a brand board. And she wrote back in her email and she said, what is a brand board? And so I get that. It's really just a marketing term, but people don't even know. So I have already planned out my next podcast episode will be, what is a brand board and how it works for your business? So think about that. Any question that someone asks you, you can turn it into a piece of content. So this doesn't have to be too difficult to come up with ideas about what you want to do. I promise they'll flow to you once you start, connecting with your people and asking. So great content is, of course, search engine optimized. That means you've got long tail keywords in there. I'll share some tools about how to find those in a little bit. Connects with your audience, of course. You want to get an emotional reaction from them. People buy based on emotional, right? Like needs, not real needs in life. Like, I don't need this like adorable thing I just purchased recently, but I'm going to buy it because I want it and I think it's going to be fun for me. Things like that, right? Great content is unique. Don't just copy and paste what you've seen online. And then it's multifaceted, of course. So think about, again, if you have a blog post, turning it into a podcast or vice versa, and then sharing some of those things on different platforms, adding value added things to your posts, a way for someone to like connect with you further, right? So what's next? The big moment. Would you like to know? We're going to walk through step by step how to turn one photo and one video into 10 plus pieces of content, right? You are saying, show me how, let's get to it, right? So here we go. Here's the plan. This is what we're going to talk about. A step-by-step guide to understand how to take one picture that you've taken or used or stock photo or graphic and one either video. Now, when I say video, I want you to understand that this is interchangeable, right? So video could actually start as a blog post or it could start as a podcast episode. So think about that. Okay. But then around the circle here, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Okay. 8. And that's fine because we say 10 plus pieces of content because, okay. So pins, like you would have more than one pin. Static post refers to like a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a LinkedIn post. So there's 3 right there in that one, bright pink circle on the right at like 3 o'clock. Okay. So again, this is going to be based on whatever your needs are for your business and how you want to work your content, right? So let's go through it. Here it is. Here's the list. So 1 through 9. Now, when we go over to the right, we go down to 4. It doesn't start at the left again, just the graphic I picked. Here's the plan, and we're going to break this down. So you can pause this video. You can take a screenshot. It is going to be, this information will be other places. So this is going to be the plan for what you do in step-by-step order so that you have the right assets before you move on to the next step. Like you can't post on, Instagram if you don't have your caption, right? And you can't publish your podcast if you don't have your show notes for it, right? So that's what this works on. So number 1, you're going to take a picture. In the script font below, it shows you the tools you need to do this step. Okay, so take a picture. Get a selfie, get an amazing selfie. Edit the photo. I love the Lightroom app on my phone. I had bought some presets that, all match. Use the same preset every time because then you have the same look on your photos, right? You can also use a stock photo for this if you don't have selfies or you just can't get them or don't want them. There's amazing stock photos out there. I mean, there's a lot of different things to use. So get a photo and edit it. Step number 2, you're going to do some writing and create your graphics. So here's where you're going to do all the kind of creative part. You're going to plan your outline for your video. So you're going to do an intro. You're going to tell people what you're going to say. You're going to tell them what you're going to say. And then you're going to do a call to action at the end. So that's your outline for your video or your podcast or your blog post, pretty much, really. You're also going to write here any captions or show notes that you need, again, depending on your platform. If you don't have a podcast, leave that out. But I would suggest you make templates that you love. Really, the same template. I use the same template for all of my reel covers. I use the same template for all of my YouTube covers. So get a template on the Canva app on your phone. You're going to upload your picture into your template and you're going to put your title on there. Again, there's tons of different ways to do this. It really could just be a picture of you. You could, take pictures and just have like a bank of those to use for the graphics, but make sure that you write all these things out because having this is going to, again, move you on to step number 3 in the process. Number 3, do the video. Now, when I say that, of course, I do interchange that. If you don't start with video and you're going to do a blog post or a podcast first, then just interchange that and, reverse the steps wherever they apply in the flow here, right? Do a live video. I like to start on Instagram Live because I do, have an audience there. There's people that tune in. Do a live video. Make sure you download it after. Make sure you add your description that you just wrote and your photo that you just created to the cover image of your video. And then you can post that on IGTV. It's going to go right, to your feed, to your channel, so people can see your video there, interact with anybody. Make sure you download that and then post it to your next video place. This could be where you schedule that video live to be posted live via your scheduling app. I use OneStream. A lot of people use StreamYard. There's a lot of others out there. Or you could just straight up post the video. Again, Facebook business pages, we know, don't get a ton of traction. So don't sweat it if you feel like it's not a live video. That's completely fine. Post your video on your other platforms, wherever they might be going to. And I'm going to give some examples. And so when you see, and later on, so you can see what this might look like based on different platforms. What you need for that is just your phone or your laptop. Meta Business Suite is an amazing tool to schedule posting videos, both for your Facebook pages and your Instagram account at the same time. It's amazing. So make sure you look at that. And again, there's a list of tools at the end. They're going to be great for you to use for all these. So post your video and wherever else it's going to go, or your blog post, or, et cetera, what you've done there in the beginning stages. Number 5, if you did do a video or a podcast, get it transcribed. There's an amazing service I love, and there are other ones out there. I use rev.com because it's only like pennies. It's like 25 cents a minute or something like that to actually transcribe your video, audio. And it literally is instantaneous. You submit it, you pay, you click out, and all of a sudden you get the email saying your transcription is done. It shows up in your account. Bim, bam, boom. It's amazing. So transcribe it. And you want to do this in case you were a little slacking on step number 2 and you didn't write your captions. You can take it from the audio. And isn't that, when you speak in a video or podcast, an exactly authentic caption of what you would say? They say write like you talk. So that's why the transcription is super fun part of this. Now, you can use that for different things. So then we move on to step number 6, write the blog post. Get your SEO terms in there, get your long tail keywords going, LinkedIn opt-in, make sure you have internal and external links. There's all kinds of great tips about blogging. I love blogging. It's so much fun to be creative and just sit there and create posts. You need, of course, a website for a blog post, but there are other platforms now. If you kind of look around and do, like I was saying, LinkedIn allows you to post articles and things like that you could really do. And you could do longer form posts on, a platform if you feel like it's working for your audience, right? So far, here we are, step 6. We've got our picture, we've got our captions and our cover photos and graphics, any images. We've done a live video. It's posted. We have a transcription of that video. We have a blog post. And then number 7, we have a podcast. Publish your podcast episode. Make sure you do some research about titling your podcast, that it's something your audience is looking for. You do need, of course, a podcast host. There are free ones that are out there. You don't have to pay for podcast hosting. And then post your show notes. And again, you wrote in step number 2, keep yourself a template in Google Drive to have that. And then number 8, here's all the social fun, right? The most part, isn't it like the latest? Like, were you expecting this to be at step number 1, like post on Instagram? So now it's step number 8, right? So publish your social post, again, wherever your audience is going. You can, again, if you're looking at this and thinking, okay, well, when's a good time to post on social? Use Meta Business Suite, because it will pick optimized times based on your account and your audience and post then for you. Okay, so that's just a little side tip about doing it. There's a ton of schedulers out there, of course. Some of them work okay. Some of them work great. Some of them just really depends on your opinion. You don't have to pay money to buy a scheduling service. Again, some will promise you they can do all these things and schedule all your stuff. But again, if your content plan is on point, you know where all your items are going, and you don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles to do that. Again, so social posts, FB, IG, LinkedIn, pins, idea pins. And then that's the fun part. Now all these things don't have to happen on the same day, right? Like, you can do your picture and your graphics in bundle, like you're writing. You can have a writing day. Just write all your stuff for the month in one day. Could you imagine if you have 4 long form pieces of content? So that's that. And then you'll have your video, your blog post, moving on, etc. And then lastly, number 9, stories. We love stories. So stories, again, you can post these on the same day if you want that you did a video. You could do it the next day. You could do it, later in the day, the morning, whatever you feel works. I like to sit down actually at the end of my day. Like, I record my my activities and things like that during the day often, or take pictures. And then I'll sit down at night and post stories and things like that. So it really, is up to you. But don't forget to do a face-to-camera story about the video or podcast or blog post you just published, right? And tell people about that. So you need your phone for that one, of course, too. So here it is. What do you think? 9 steps. You think you could do it? I know you can do it. This will be so much fun. So I broke it down a little bit in this, and you can look at this. Again, I paused the recording. Just as a different list format, so you can kind of see where it goes and what happens with getting through the 9 steps about actually taking. And I think it helps to have that because, again, people have different formats. So let's take a example of what this looks like if you have a website. So you can start with a video. Post the video on whatever platform you're starting on. Again, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube Live is pretty fun. Transcribe the audio, make the blog post, publish the podcast. Those are interchangeable. You could cross one of those out if you don't have both of those platforms, and then post your social at the end, step 5. If your platform, if you love podcasting, which I love doing a podcast. It's so much fun. Kimberly has one. It's great. All my friends have podcasts, it's awesome. Publish the podcast, transcribe the audio, make a blog post, or again, post your social. But 3 and 4 there could be interchangeable, right? So if you don't have a website there, you could just post to social, right? Number 3 option, if you started with a blog post, if you're a writer first and like that's your creative outlet, write the post, do a video based on the topics of your post. If you're comfortable with that, again, optional, and then post to social, right? And so you can get an idea of what this flow looks like. Now, this is what it looks like if you don't have a website. If you're sitting there saying, I don't have all these things, I don't know what to do. Start with a video. Post the video on your social channels, wherever that's going to go. Transcribe the video if you can, if you like, or if you want to just rewrite your captions, post to social, wherever that's going to go, and then email your list. And then number 2, if you started with a podcast and you don't have a website, you have a podcast host, you publish the podcast, you transcribe the audio, you can use that transcription to post on your social feeds, and then you can use that transcription to email your list. Isn't that amazing? That's another reason to get your transcription done, is to use it for your email newsletter, right? So you're not staring at a blank screen thinking, what can I email my list this week? Send them your content. And then lastly, if you started with a social or a group post, say you don't have any of these, you don't have a website, you don't have a podcast, you don't have any kind of video like hosting ability or like want to do that. If you're really just posting in a social group now and you're looking to grow that group or community, there's a lot of different communities out there aside from Facebook groups. Create the graphic, your image, whatever you're doing, take the picture, create that, write the post, cross-post it to wherever it might be applicable, and email your list. You notice how number 4 is the same on each of these? Don't forget how important it is to email your list, right? So again, just some more examples. You have one topic, what it looks like to do a video. What are the outlets you can share that to? Here's a blog post where those things can go. Down at the bottom, if you have a group topics and what you can make out of those things. Idea pins and Google Web Stories are really fun to make these days. Google Web Stories is relatively newish. If you get in on that now, it says on their page, you can be an early adopter to Google Web Stories. So think about that. Google it, you'll find information about it. If you start with reels, like say you're a reel star and that's what you make, think about reposting those to other places. Like if that's the beginning of your content plan, then this is how it's going to work for you. So I wanted to make this so it was kind of customizable and it wasn't like you had to have a blog and you had to have a website and you had to have all the things. These are just some ways to get, those things out there and do that. Okay. If you are like, and I'm not referring that anyone is lazy, but if you're like, give me the lazy girl version of content plan, here is a simple content plan for you to do. Do a live video, post it to your social media, email to your list. In these 3 steps alone, you have reached a live audience who will know your personality and know your message. You have cross-posted to all your social where the rest of your audience may or may not be, depending on where you post. If you post stories, there are static posts, etc. And you have reached your email list, which you, of course, like I said, you want to keep building and focusing on and making sure that, they know about you and your business too. Here's a bunch of amazing tools in terms of content planning. Ideas, how to get ideas for content, because you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this is great, but what do I post, right? That's my first question always. Like I said earlier in the one example about the brand board, who is your ICA? What are those people asking you? If you had to go out and do yourself like a mini research project and you have to actually interview these people, go ahead and see if you could do that. A lot of people can do that on polls or things like that on stories, but see if you could just grab like 10 minutes with someone and say, listen, I'd love to talk about this. What are some of your biggest issues with it? What would be really helpful for you to know? Get some ideas that way. I promise you'll have a list if you do that. Go to Facebook groups. There's obviously groups you're in. They're related to your business topic, and look at what people are asking. Like I said, any question that someone asks, you can put your own spin on that and turn it into a piece of content. People mention Ask the Public. Trends.google and trends.pinterest are great places to get information about what people are looking for, because both of those are huge search engines. And of course, YouTube, same kind of similar thing. Or your company. Don't forget, there's a lot of companies that make amazing apps with all kinds of content to educate people about your products, run challenges to use the products, all kinds of things. So that could be an amazing source for ideas. Organizing your content. Phone, don't forget your phone. Don't forget the power of Evernote on your phone, the power of your notes app, the voice recorder. If you're somewhere and you were like, oh my gosh, I have this amazing idea for a video. I did that the other day. I pulled it up and I talked the outline. So there's a way to do that. Trello, hello. We love Trello. Airtable is an amazing tool too. If you haven't used that, it's a great way to sort, drop, get forms, etc. Keep track of your stuff. Asana, I love Asana because of the automation in that. I use actually all of these on the list. I wouldn't say if I had a favorite. I mean, I use them all. And then Google Drive, of course. And you'll see great ways to kind of keep all your show notes or like a blog outline or your YouTube video description in Google Drive, so you can just edit it a little bit and you have standardization to your content and you just use that again and again. Writing and editing options, Canva, of course, we're BFFs. The Lightroom app on your phone, like I had mentioned, grab some presets. People sell those all over the place, and you can even get free presets. I saw recently for the Lightroom app. Just look for that. Rev.com, like I mentioned, transcription. SEO sites, look out for people that are teaching about SEO, because I wouldn't forget that. It's easy to just start to write about things that you feel like your audience wants to know, but that might not be the case. So make sure you can do it SEO. You will feel better about getting that in there. Jasper's in the automation. I heard really good things about it in terms of like putting in ideas and information, and it writes blog posts for you. Isn't that amazing? And then, like I mentioned, Evernote, of course. You can, I think there's a voice to text transcription on Evernote. I'm not 100% sure. And then scheduling, Meta Business Suite. Don't forget about it. I'm telling you, it has optimized times. You can do both your things at once. And on Meta Business Suite, you can see all of your messages from all of your social media, Facebook and Instagram, in one place. Did you know that? There's an inbox in Meta Business Suite that is your direct messages, your instant messages, and your like inbox and comments. And you can reply to comments on your Instagram right in this Meta Business Suite. That's a game changer. Social Champ and Social Web Suite are two apps that I've used for scheduling. I love them both. They're great. There's lots of options out there. And then in-app, don't forget, you just want to use the app itself and you want to post things up there, go ahead and do that, right? Oftentimes when you're posting stories and highlights, it will suggest to you, make a reel from your story highlights. So, oh my gosh, yes, go ahead and do that. Put some great, highlights up there and have it like created for you. Tailwind's a great scheduling option for Pinterest, specifically, and some other things. They have options on there. And then Canva Teams, of course, you can schedule when you have the Canva Teams, which used to be called Canva Pro, software right on there as well. So what do you think? Good. I hope this helps you have an amazing time with your content and get some great ideas about really focusing in on this for your business and making it just an amazing part of what you do and an impactful part of what you do and a fun part, so you can connect with people and make great things happen for your business. Please find me at my website. There it is. I'm sure you have the links here otherwise if you're watching this presentation. And let me know how I can best help you. We have lots of resources to grow your business, love your branding, and rock your content. Thank you, everyone.